What's up, bitches? Welcome back to another episode of Positively Uncensored, your favorite reality TV and interview podcast. It's your host, Leah. Alrighty, we're getting into a lot today. We're talking about Perfect Match, episode 7. We're talking about Love Island, episode 3. So buckle up if you watch either of these shows. First of all, we're going to be starting with Perfect Match. All right, let's start with Love Island USA, episode 3. Let's just say, in my personal opinion, Love Island USA is crushing it this year. I tried to watch Love Island UK. I tried to find a VPN. No, it was too time consuming. I get anxiety when I try to catch up with the rest of the US while the UK is already 2 weeks ahead. I'm tapping out this season. I'm just watching Love Island USA. The diversity, everything about it is more interesting. So I titled this episode Deal Breakers and Double Standards. If you know, you know, okay? So first of all, the episode starts with Kendall sitting off to the sidelines. He's spiraling, watching Hannah have a conversation with Hakeem. Basically, he wants the conversation to be over, but isn't inserting himself to interrupt the conversation. Simultaneously, JaNa pulls Connor for a chat and tells him, this part is going to stick with me forever. JaNa tells Connor that he looked like Superman when he walks in, and her impression absolutely sent me. He reminds me of Lobster Larry from SpongeBob. If you don't see that correlation, I don't know, we probably wouldn't be friends. So anyways, we find out more about JaNa. I think she's so cute, so beautiful, so interesting. We find out that JaNa enjoys reading true crime, books about serial killers. And I'm just living for learning these things about the cast as we go through the episodes. This is what makes me watch and tune in, is feeling like I know the cast. What is this called? Like a parasocial relationship? Feeling like I know the cast. But stay tuned because I will be interviewing the cast. So I will know them eventually. And I'll tell you who I've been interviewing at the end of this episode, so stay tuned. We find out, okay, so with the bombshells coming in, it seems like Hakeem and Connor did what needs to be done. They bombshelled, they did what needs to be done, because we have Kaylor and Hannah's heads turned for sure. And then debatable if Serena and Janae's heads were turned in the beginning of the episode. So as far as the bombshelling, they did their job. JaNa and Connor have another conversation, and she says that him and Coye are complete opposites, but she likes them both. So we went from JaNa saying that when they first came in, that it would take a lot for her to turn her head. She's like, I'm looking for a guy who's 6'8". Just kidding. But she's like, I'm with a guy who's 6'8". It's going to take a lot for me to turn my head, to being interested in Connor and the level of depth that they were getting in their conversations. Con brings the conversation. So then we see the deal breaker game. The guys are guessing first about the ladies, and then the ladies go after. The first question, we find out how much each woman has spent on a man. Going from lowest to highest, we have Hannah, who spent $20 on a man. I appreciate it. If you're not dating him, why spend the money on him? And she said she hasn't had any serious relationships. So I live for it. Hannah has spent $20. Then we have Liv and Serena, who have each spent $4. That's a pretty good amount. Then we have Leah, who spent $1,000 in Louis Vuitton blunt wrappers. I think that's what she said. And then Kaylor spent a whopping $5,000 for Christmas. Kaylor, I would love for you to be my secret Santa. Love it. The next question I despise. I'm not even kidding you. This question literally sets them up for failure, and there's no way to ask it without sounding like you're not shaming your partner. I hate this question. So the next question is finding out their body count, and I barely took notes on this, but Serena's was 6, Leah's was 16, JaNa was 22. Those are the only numbers who I heard and was able to write down. Coye reacts to JaNa's 22. Okay, he has a reaction to this. And this pisses me off, especially what we find out a few moments later, but just in general. Why are you getting a reaction? Why are you treating that like that's an inordinate amount of partners? No amount of partners should be too many partners. Why are you judging your partner for the fact that they had a life prior to you? Kaylor, 24, and then Liv is 6. The guys start clapping at this. This is what pisses me off. It's like, okay, so you hear a number that you feel is like respectable, pure enough for you. Goes the peanut gallery. Annoying. It annoyed me. And then I think someone's was 11, and the guys clap for that too. I forget whose. I know I'm missing someone, but I forget whose. So then the girls answer. Then we switch gears. The girls get to answer questions about the guys. And basically, I forgot to mention this, but they're doing like a higher or lower thing. This is what also felt weird. It's not just that they're asking about partners, but then to like pin the women against each other and say higher or lower. This isn't cards, okay? Like, let's not objectify these people. So the next question is, what is too many sexual partners for their man? Leah answers, JaNa answers hundreds. Kaylor says 70. Liv says 95 specifically. And Hannah says 30. I love Leah's answer, and it matches very well with Rob's answer, because why do you care? Why do you care? And this is something that you learn as you get older, I guess. I guess maybe, I don't know, the last time I've heard people openly having these conversations is like college age, but like eventually you learn that that's not respectful and it doesn't matter. Okay? So how many women has your guy ghosted? We find out that Kendall has ghosted 50 women. Connor has ghosted 5. Connor, 5, only 5. Hakeem, 0. The girls guessed higher. This is the only moment I felt bad for Hakeem, because he walks into the house, says that he likes fair-skinned women. It gave me the ick. I don't like punching down at black women. I just didn't like that comment. But I did feel bad for him when the girls kept consistently pegging him as a fuckboy throughout this game. So Hakeem, 0 women he's ghosted. And then Cordell says 1,001. And this is when he tells the house that he's Odell Beckham Jr.'s brother. And the ladies have a reaction. They're like, and then I don't blame them, to be honest with you. Like, to be fair, don't blame him. But I'll be interested to see, I'm sure they'll cut it, but I'd be interested to see how many people know football and how many questions they would now want to ask him, because I would be nosy. I saw somebody tweet something hilarious, like me getting carried out by security after asking Cordell about the Drake rumors, and it made me laugh. I don't like to speculate. Let me say, I don't like to speculate on people's sexuality, but that comment made me laugh. So 1,001 was Cordell's answer. Then is, what is your guy's body count? Kendall starts it off again. His body count's 27. Connor's is higher at 53. Hakeem is 24. The girls thought it was higher than Connor. Like I said, they were constantly pegging him for being an F-boy in this game. Aaron is 75. Pretty sure that he said, yeah, I don't know. Aaron gives me the ick a little bit. Aaron gives me the ick. Cordell's is 30 and Coye's is 150. Okay. Now remember that he reacted to Janae's 22 and his is 150. Okay. I really can't. Kendall. Okay. So the next question is, what is too many sexual partners for your girls? Kendall says hundreds. This doesn't matter to him. Good answer. Good answer. Family Feud clap. Connor says 15. Connor, we were rooting for you. He says that he's going to try to make amends for this, but I'm like, Connor, why would you even answer that? Why would you even answer that? Anything lower than your body count is a stupid number, okay? It's stupid. What is this, the 20s? Rob says 500. Like I said, Leah and Rob are very compatible. They both don't care about people's pasts when they get into a relationship. I love them. It's really doing something for me. It's really doing something. And then Rob even chimes in and says he would never ask a girl about her body count because it's immature and not important. Standing ovation. Okay. If I had a producer to put on sounds, we would add some, because thank you. This is the number one answer. Okay. Then we move on to Hakeem, who says 30. Which, to be fair, I think is the same number that Hannah said, so they're pretty aligned there. Aaron says 10. but then claims that he never asks this, even though he was in the 70s with his body count. And Cordell says infinity because he wouldn't degrade a woman for what she's done in her past. Again, thank you. We've got Kendall, who said hundreds. Rob, Cordell, thank you. And I bet you that this question further pushed Hannah towards Kendall because of his answer. Okay, I believe that because we saw a different side of Kendall this round. And wasn't Kendall the one who said that he's also looking at marriage differently because of his parents' recent divorce? Kendall has depth there, but it's just not right away. Not right away. His Fade Fridays is still something I remember. Coye says 10. Coye says 10 is too many girls, is too many bodies. I genuinely can't. But then he chimes in and clarifies and says that as long as they've got clean health, it doesn't matter. Once again, if yours is 150, why put anything less than that? Why would it not be acceptable for your partner to have an equal portion as you? That's that thing I mean about the like double standards and the slut shaming towards women. It's like this idea that you're less pure, less valuable. I hate it. I really hate it. I also think that was a deterrent for JaNa wanting to pursue Coye because she pulls him aside after the game and she's basically like, hey, I heard your comments and I didn't like them all throughout the game. And she even tells Coye, I clapped for JaNa. I clapped for JaNa so many times this episode because she flat out tells him, it's easier to have a conversation with Connor than it is to have a conversation with you. It feels like I'm constantly being the person who's initiating. I'm constantly the person who is, I don't know if you heard that. I'm constantly the person who's trying to crack you open, and it's very draining, and I would like to feel pursued as well. And we basically hear Coye or see Coye kind of act like he received that. I really don't think he did. Fast forward, Liv looks over and she sees that Rob and Leah are making out in their private corner. We found out that they have like a little signal. I think Rob does this during Leah's speech, so I'm assuming that's what it is. We see you. Okay, we see you. I wish we could watch them at all times like Big Brother. So badly. So Liv sees Rob and Leah making out, and then she calls him a little bitch for not being honest and communicating. Meanwhile, I'm like, what indication has he given you that he's very interested? Now, granted, he had a conversation with her where he said that he was open. However, that was followed up by an awkward conversation. He didn't want you to pick him to begin with. It's not like he said, I really hope you pick me. I'm really not that into Leah. I'm very open right now. That never happened. So I don't get why she's so offended. I don't get it. So anyways, later on that evening, right after Liv sees this, the girls are awarded the power to pick the guys, couple up, and whoever's not selected is going home. Now, this is the time when they find this out that JaNa says, I am still not getting any initiative from Coye. I expressed how I was feeling earlier after that game. I'm still not getting anything. And every time I want to have a conversation, it's me pulling him. And then we see JaNa pull Coye for another conversation where she basically articulates herself again. And at this point, I wrote in my notes, I could tell that things weren't going well. At this point where you keep going after someone to bring issues to them and to communicate with them, it's so tiring and draining without having that validation and just being that person. It's like this is a two-way street. It's supposed to be reciprocal. It's supposed to be honeymoon vibes right now, okay? Then Ariana comes in for the recoupling ceremony. Fanfare. She looked absolutely beautiful. Beautiful. She comes in, she's wearing a diamond-studded dress. If you're watching Perfect Match, it sort of reminded me of the dress that Holly had on, which I need expeditiously. I need that dress. It was short. It was a diamond-studded. She had a black manicure, just like basic gel polish on, smoky eye makeup. Her hair, was up in a cute bun. It was everything. She looked absolutely stunning. So she comes in, she does her thing, and Serena starts the recoupling ceremony off. She picks Cordell Thank God. They're so cute. I'm living for them together. It's bringing me a lot of joy to see them. So she couples up with Cordell. Then Kaylor couples up with Aaron. So obviously she's not giving Cameron a shot anymore. Plus, we've seen Cameron sort of like curve his interest and lean into things with JaNa. So she was really not an option for him anyways. He made it that way. So she picks Aaron and doesn't have an option anymore. Anna couples up with Kendall. And this is where the drama starts. This is where it starts, okay? Liv couples up with Hakeem. They're basically like the two last picked, and they're both like, okay, well, what is that called? What is that called? There's a name for it when you're not picked and then you're put together, okay? That's what they are. I think it starts with a D, and the word is just not coming to me. So they couple up together, and Kendall immediately calls out Hannah. No. And then Hakeem immediately calls out Hannah for starting the day more interested in Kendall and her words not matching her actions. So Hakeem is coming for Hannah, and he's basically like, you told me that you were open. You told me that you were 50-50, and now you're not. Like, what's going on with that? And Hannah's like, okay, well, the energy needs to come down, and I did tell you I was 50-50, but now I'm not. And I'm interested in Kendall, which I was showing with my actions today. And it's like, OMG, like so much is going on. So much is going on. And like I said, Hakeem came in and he was like, I want someone with like light features and dark hair. So I'm like, ugh, I'm not even that sad that it doesn't work out for you. And you're still here with Liv. So like, ew, like what? But anyways, the two problems, Hakeem, and then Liv chimes in because Lord forbid, like she needs to make a comment about Rob too, the other person who didn't want to match up with her. And she makes a speech. And in her speech, she made that comment about people being genuine and basically chimes in that if you say you want to get to know someone and then you don't want to get to know someone, that's very shady. And I'm like, you know what else is shady? It's shady to pick someone who's not interested in you with full awareness that it's probably one of the strongest matches in the house. That's shady. That's shady. Okay. I can't. I need her to go. I need her to go. Miss Melbourne needs to go. I can't anymore. So anyways, her comment is irrelevant, and Leah and Rob get to couple up with each other. Their smiles, quick kiss. Love it. Stay mad. Stay mad. Australia, I can't. And then JaNa couples up last. Like I said, this was the moment we were waiting for. So JaNa couples up last, and she couples up with Connor. Now, the funniest part of this is her entire speech sounded like she was about to pick Coye. She's like, so today I'm coupling up with the guy who I believe means what he says when he's willing to put in work into our relationship. I believe that he's going to communicate well and truly means what he says, that he's willing to move forward. So for that reason, I'm picking Connor. Okay? Picked Connor. I didn't expect this. I was sitting on the couch like, but simultaneously, yes, because you gave him the opportunity. You were coupled up. It's episode 3. I don't know how many days that is in island time, but you were coupled up. He didn't put in the effort. Connor was putting in the effort. And at the very least, even if things don't work out with Connor because she ultimately wants someone else, she gets to stay in the house longer and meet other people and have other connections. So I was happy, and I'm also happy at Coye's response because he was very respectful. He didn't have an outburst. He pretty much said, I understand. JaNa did what's best for her in her emotional state. I respect her decision. And then they went their separate ways. He packed up. All the guys are missing him already. But listen, you guys started off, we were rooting for you. You started off hot, started off heavy, started off with an intense connection, and then you tried to sit there and just look pretty and do nothing, and it's not enough. Being 6'8", being handsome, being beautiful, it's just not enough. You needed to give effort, and he didn't. But with that being said, Coye is coming on my podcast next week, the first Islander sent home. And I'll be talking with him, okay? So put in the comments any questions that you have for Coye. I think we get to chat for like 30 minutes. I'm going to bring all the questions to him about the villa, about his experience, reflections, regrets, all of that stuff. So that's how the episode ends. That's how episode 3 ends. So now let's get into Perfect Match, episode 7. I nicknamed this episode Puppet Master Elys. If you disagree, let me know below. And also quickly, just to remind you, if you're enjoying my recap right now, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, like this video. Make sure that you turn on notifications for when I post videos. I have a podcast on Spotify and Apple. Go follow me and leave a nice review if you like this. Getting back into it. We start episode 7, and Kaz decides to match with Micah. And this surprised me because in the prior batch of episodes, he did have a connection with Holly. We hear that Holly is his type. They intentionally did this. They always bring people in who are people's typical types or whatever they say. So I did think that he could potentially have his head turned. However, I'm not convinced. I do think Kaz and Micah like each other. I believe him. Spoiler towards the end of the episode, he says that he sees a future with them. I do believe this, but on the other hand, I'm like, it does very much give the vibe of like they decided early on that they want to get to the end of the show. They want to win. They want to take home the money and the title as prize winners. And so they're going to be that strong couple, whether it's romantically or not. I'm just not sure. And that's not really for me to judge them anyways. But he couples up with Micah. He tells her that he was looking for someone with open communication, somebody who's honest. And she's been giving that. She's been vulnerable about her feelings. So he decides to go with Micah. And that leaves both Holly and Melinda. That leaves Holly and Melinda leaving the house. So they did not end up getting chosen or coupled up with. Then the couples play a compatibility challenge. Now, because Nick is messy, he starts off this conversation by polling the group, and he asks them, who's the weakest match out here? And basically, they're like, Micah and Kaz is who the group says. Meanwhile, Micah and Kaz are like Elys and Justin, which is the real answer. Even being what I said about Kaz and Micah, to make the decision to stay together, regardless of if they're romantic or if they just want to win, they have a friendship. They have something there. They have a connection. Justin and Elys are the newest couple, and I'm convinced that Elys is staying in the house to make Harry jealous. I'm convinced that she's staying in the house to make other people's lives miserable and play puppet master, and it's annoying me. It's really annoying me. So that should have been the answer, to be honest with you. But Micah and Kaz are the only person to say Elys and Justin, and this is coming from someone who's interviewed Justin and really enjoys him. I enjoy you, Justin, on Surviving Paradise. I enjoy you. It's Elys, and we need to have a conversation because you need to realize when you're with someone who's being mean. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it because I'm also having Justin on my podcast. Stay tuned. So in this compatibility challenge, it's like a lot of the challenges that I've seen in Survivor. And basically they have ropes attached to them and they're trying to untangle themselves and their partner from ropes. But one person is blindfolded and the ropes are all scattered across. They're intertwining. You have to go under stuff, over stuff. And it's hard to do when one of your partners is blindfolded. So that leaves one of them as the guide and the other person being blindfolded and doing the instructions that you're told. In this competition, Tolu and Jess were struggling the most. Now, Jessica claims that it's because Harry's tall. I think it's because Harry doesn't listen well, and he has a lot of childlike tendencies, and I think that that's why. However, it could be coordination. Let me not knock it. And then Tolu and Chris are struggling, and I feel for Tolu because I'm the same way. She's like getting overwhelmed. She's a little like, I don't even know what to do. And I feel that in my soul. I feel that in my soul. Okay? So Tolu and Jess are struggling the most. Meanwhile, Micah and Kaz are in the lead, and so are Steven and Alara. This is after the group has just said that they're the weakest match. So they're in the lead. F you guys. We're still winning. Okay? And Steven and Alara are pissing me off. I found out Alara is an Aquarius, and I'm very upset by this because I wouldn't have guessed that. I'm an Aquarius. I wouldn't have guessed that. So they're in the lead. They're working the best together. And it ends with Micah and Kaz winning the competition. And I'm glad because Seven and Alara have caused chaos in that boardroom, and it's time that they get tested. As Tolu says later, the testers need tested, okay? So fast forward, we're back at the house, and basically Harry is talking to Justin and asks him about his most embarrassing sex story, and he says that he lost his virginity in his mom's car, the girls left their panties, and he tried to have his sisters take the blame. I wrote this because it's something I'm going to ask Justin about when we do our podcast, mainly because on my podcast, go back on my YouTube, Surviving Paradise, Justin told me, and I'll tell you half of it, that his most, I don't know if it's embarrassing or just crazy, but in terms of his sex life, he has a demon, okay? A demon, a poltergeist that's been watching him and messing with people that he's intimate with his whole life. So, like, let's start there. We talked about that. Let's start there. I'm going to talk about that with him again for a second time because it had me floored the first time. So anyways, Justin tells that story to Harry, and then Micah and Kaz go on a date to the cenote. This is the first time that I notice in the most respectful way how nice Micah's butt is. I haven't noticed. In the promo, she looked so good, and I'm like, why is she, like, not like she needs to show off, but I'm like, show your body. Like, you look banging. Like, I'm trying to see something respectfully. And so that was the first time I noticed how good her butt looked. And basically the two of them share the sentiment that even though Holly came in and caused a little bit of tension, rocked the boat a little bit, it ended up being a good thing for them and their couple because now they feel even more legitimate. They've gone through their first test and they maintained their relationship, matched back up, and stayed together. So they have that conversation, and then they both talk, and this is where I started to get the sense like, okay, they are romantic. They are genuinely interested in each other in this conversation because they both reflect on the shows that they went on. So we know Micah was on Love is Blind with Paul. I did not watch Kaz's show. I believe he was on Dated and Related. I didn't watch it, but both of them share this experience where things were very serious. They left the show kind of on serious terms, and then things took a turn for the worst, and they ended up not being together. And just the outside element in going outside in the world was a lot of pressure and a lot of different dynamics. So they both related to each other on that, and I thought that call it trauma bonding, call it whatever, but I feel like that's actually something good to have in common with someone you're dating, especially if you've been on these reality TV shows. Just kind of understanding how whirlwind of an experience you can be in. And then when Micah asks if Kaz sees a future with them, he says he does. Now, I don't know where Kaz is from, but I think he's from London. I think he lives somewhere in the UK. I'm just not sure where, but let's say London, okay? Because it's the first place that I think of. And Micah's telling Kaz about the Space Needle in Washington and plans to take him to see it. This is a cute moment. He's never heard of it. They share a kiss. And like I said, no PDA. I don't know. Maybe they don't like PDA. Maybe they just don't like kissing with tongue. Maybe they did have PDA and they cut it and they're trying to give off a vibe to viewers. I don't know. But they share a kiss and then their date is pretty much over. So I said this earlier, but we see a preview of Tolu saying it's time for the tables to turn, and baby, they turn, okay? Harry is leaving Jessica little love notes. Again, this is episode 7. I haven't watched episode 8 and 9 yet, so I'll be back once I watch them. This is episode 7. Harry's leaving Jessica little love notes. This is cute, I guess. I don't think that I'm ungrateful for any act of service or any act of showing you love someone or affection because it's Harry. Okay? Because it's Harry. It already seems disingenuous. But he leaves Jessica little love notes and affirmations from "you're an amazing mother," "you make me want to be a cool dad," to "I would drink your bath water," and "let me eat your bum." Okay, typical Harry escalates, and now we're in left field. So the two of them are really strong, and respectfully, I debated even saying this because I know I shouldn't, and I try not to ever comment on women's bodies. But if this is a safe space for just a moment, Jessica has really nice boobs, and do want to know if they're fake or if her natural breasts sit that nice. That's all I want to know. I don't want to know because it makes them any less beautiful regardless. I'm just curious because it's respectfully and objectively one of the best racks I've ever seen. And we'll move right along because, like I said, I'm trying to be respectful. After we see Harry leave love notes, we finally get to see Micah and Kaz go into the boardroom and pick the matches that they want to toy with. Now, Micah has a vendetta against Alara, and I don't blame her. She's like, okay, you know what? Alara just tested you by bringing Holly in. So it's only fair that I test Alara. And this time things are different because they get to pick co-ed matches. So one guy, one girl they're bringing in. And Kaz and Micah decide, why do one when we can do two? Okay? So they send Steven on a date with Britton, whom he has previously voiced is his type to Alara. I don't know that that conversation ever left the boardroom, but Alara knows this. And then they have matched Alara with Nigel, who is her type. Okay, that's who they pair up and who they send on dates. And this was fun for me because Alara has made a couple of moves that made me side-eye her so far. And I think they sent Chris on a date with, oh my God, every time the M comes first. The M comes first. Melinda, I'm sorry. Sent Chris on a date with Melinda, whom they had a show with before. And I just think it's shady. I think Alara's shady. I don't like her. Shady boots. So Steven and Britton go on a Vespa date, and he has a toothpick in his mouth, and he's sitting on the moped. And if you've ever seen the 90s movie Uncle Buck, there's a guy who has like a black eye, and he literally looks like he got punched, and he's like standing there. He looks like one of the Outsiders guys, like greased hair, creepy, like this. He's on the motorcycle. Perfect. And he does this. But then he tries to play with it in his mouth, and it gets stuck, and it goes through his lip. Okay? That scene is what I'm picturing. You look a mess with your toothpick on your mouth on your little moped. I can't. It was such a cringe moment. If I walked up, because he posed himself. Why? Okay. Anyways, so basically Steven is going on a date with Britton. They're doing the moped. They're doing the Lizzie McGuire Vespa thing through the city that they haven't been to before. And Nigel and Alara have massage tables set up. And it's a couples massage vibe. They're taking turns giving each other a massage. This is where we found out that Alara is an Aquarius. Now, Nigel makes a comment about Aquarius being hard to crack. And I just want to say I disagree. I think Aquarius are very easy to crack, in fact. However, we keep a small circle. If you're an Aquarius, let me know if you agree. Aquarius also feels like one of the signs where very little of the content out there, the memes, the stuff, actually relates to us. I don't relate to anything about space. I don't relate to anything terrestrial, feeling like an alien. I don't relate to that stuff. So maybe it's a me problem. Maybe it's a me because I'm a Gemini moon and a Sagittarius rising. Now you know. What's going on up here. So both of the couples come back from their dates. Not really much to report on their dates. And Nigel and Britton meet the rest of the house. Now, Steven is spiraling once he sees Nigel because he knows that this is Alara's type. And vice versa. Alara is spiraling because it's Britton. And she knows that Steven has previously voiced attraction. So after they come back from their dates, mind you, Britton just went on a date with Steven. I don't know if they had a conversation where he expressed that he's mostly interested in Alara or what happens, but all of a sudden she's jumping ship, okay? Because Britton's back from her date and now she has her eyes set on Kaz and she wants to have a conversation with him. And they start talking and they're keying and hamming it up too much for me. Too much for me. I would walk in like, what are you doing? Or sit down and drink a beverage. What's good, Britain? What's good, Britain? So they ham it up way too much. And basically, Micah pulls Kaz aside afterwards and asks her if he brought her up. I need to know what her sign is. She's like, okay, so did you bring me up? Like, did you mention me? And I hate to say that that's not relatable, but sometimes it is. Sometimes, okay? Safe space. So Micah's like, okay, did you bring me up though? And he's basically like, yes, I told her that we are matched together. And then Elys and Britton have a conversation. And I'm like, were you guys on a show together? Do you have a former friendship? Or is this like you walk in and Elys is really that mean that she picked someone who she could use as a pawn to sabotage other people? I can't figure out what's going on. But Elys and Britton have a conversation, and Britton gives Elys the lowdown, and she's basically like, hey, I want to match up with Kaz. And Elys is like, well, did he bring up Micah? And she's like, he did, but not really. Like, not that much, basically. But he did, okay? That part's important. He did bring Micah up, okay? So Elys gets this in her head and sits down and continues this conversation. And next thing you know, Justin and Nigel are walking in on the conversation. And Elys is pitching to the group that Nigel needs to flirt with Micah so that they can mess with them. What did I do to you? What did I do to you? What is her issue with Micah? What are we missing? What's the backstory? What's going on? Truly? Okay? Because like I said, it feels mean and unnecessary. I don't get why they want to mess with them. And then Harry's there too. That's important to remember. So now Harry and Elys, y'all should have stayed matched because you guys have similar energies. It's giving very vicious. I don't even know what word to use. I just don't like the energy that it's giving. I'm starting to sweat. It's making me so nervous. So like I said, Elys's plan is for Nigel to flirt with Micah so they can mess with them, even though this is disingenuous because Nigel really has no interest in Micah. And then Elys is like, if this works, I'm going to have to resist the urge to piss myself. Why? Why? That is such a weird thing to say. That energy is very weird. I don't understand it. Get your evil eye and have it on you. Get a crystal. Like, I just think that's bad energy. So Elys thinks that would be hilarious. And basically, Britton puts her plan into effect and goes and pulls Kaz for a conversation. Meanwhile, Nigel has a conversation with Micah where he's trying to get into her head. At least that's how I perceive it. If that's not how it went down, let me know what you think in the comments. But my perception is Nigel has a conversation with Micah where he puts into her head that Britton is one of his close friends, and Britton wouldn't lie and wouldn't bring something up if it wasn't true or credible. And Britton had the impression that her conversation with Kaz went really well, and they hit it off together. Micah is like, this isn't what I was told, okay? I was told that they had a conversation. Nothing was really explained that way. I wasn't of the impression that they were hitting it off to the point where, like, Kaz's head is turned. Nigel's like, well, they're talking right now. I mean, they're talking. Look at them. And so Mike is like, well, I'm going to go pull him aside then. Like, a bitch, what? Yes, now I'm going to go talk to him. So next thing you know, Micah pulls Kaz aside, and the two of them share a conversation that they feel like the rest of the house is trying to break them up because they're such a strong couple. During this conversation, which seems like from the view we got was 45 seconds long, here comes Britton, and here she is again, asking to steal Kaz. I know you guys are talking right now, but when you finish, can we have a conversation? Like, no, Britton, no, okay? So she's interrupting, and meanwhile, Elys and the rest of the group, except for Tolu, are like, go back her up, Nigel, go over there. I don't know what they even mean by that, whether they want Nigel to walk up and ask to pull Micah, whether they want Nigel to back up Britton and her perceived connection with Kaz. I'm not sure what's happening. But Kaz hears the rest of the group chiming in, and he's like, let's dead this conversation. Let's just have it right now. Elys is basically like, I saw how happy you were talking, and you didn't really bring up your situation with Micah to Britton, from what I'm told. You can stop. You can stop right there. Why are you meddling? Why are you in this? Why are you weighing in? Are you paid by the second? Are you paid per hour? Which dog is in this fight of yours? Who do you know here? Frat bouncer vibe. So this is basically like you never brought anything up, and Kaz is feeling like he has to explain himself. And this annoys me as well. Why is this white woman questioning him, interrogating him, and thinking that she has any right to step in and weigh in on his relationship? And Tolu is the only person to stand up for Kaz and say, you don't need to feel like you need to explain yourself. You don't need to explain yourself to them. You don't. And it does make me mad that Mike is not understanding this. I don't know. It feels like that might go towards her education or just maybe her level of awareness. But this is a situation in my mind where a white woman is talking to Kaz, and she, as another white woman, could have said, this is completely inappropriate. Why do you feel entitled to speak to him that way? What is going on? And used her privilege. However, I understand that she's standing there and not knowing what to do, but that's still my opinion. I wish that she would have supported him more vocally. And maybe she did and it was cut, but I just wish that, and maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, they walk away, and like I said, Elys weighs in and she's like, well, Micah looked really happy talking to Nigel, and Kaz looked really happy with Britton, and you had a disingenuous plan. What are you talking about? So Tolu says she's feeling safe at the end of the episode. Everybody's going into their rooms and putting on the do not disturb sign, but she doesn't. And happy isn't the word, because no one needs to look happy, but Tolu looks stressed this episode. And because I'm friends with Tolu, and she's also coming on my podcast, I made 3 announcements for you guys here. 3. Those are 3 people coming on my podcast. We're going to talk about this. Like, what's going on? Is there anything going on behind the scenes? If not, I'm going to disregard my note. But it feels like, as someone, as a friend, like something is going on that episode. And I'm curious to figure out what that was. The episode ends with Nick coming in, which everybody knows is never good news. And he's basically sending the boys on a boys' trip and the girls on a girls' trip, which you already know means chaos. So I'm waiting to watch the next episodes 8 and 9. I'll make another video, probably the 2 episodes together. This was Love Island USA and Perfect Match. If you watch both of these shows and you're like, oh my God, this has been such a fun recap, put that in the comments and I'll group them together again. But thank you so much for listening to my episode. This is only my 2nd time doing a solo recording on video. So if you enjoyed this, please let me know. Know that I'm trying. I want to engage with everybody. And also, I'm trying to get used to my haircut. I literally just got it cut yesterday. I'm hoping it's giving cute and not Junie B. Jones. So let me know. And have a great day, everybody. If you love this, slam that like button.